Alright, so this is going to be a video on how to create a silent installer for Spry. So an installer that doesn't prompt the user at all, handy for IT departments. So we don't have a silent install option in our packaging system. We use click once and there's no ability to do a silent installer, but it's not too difficult to DIY this. So we're going to need a couple of things. You'll need Inno setup, or if you've got your own way of packaging things, you probably won't be watching this video, but Inno setup is free to use commercially, as well as there's no licensing issues. You'll need a copy of that installed. You'll need an offline installer from our support.precisionmining.com, and with that said, let's get into the next step. So we've got the offline installer here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unzip it. And then I'm going to fire up a command prompt and jump into that folder. This is the easiest way. There's other ways of doing what I'm about to do, but I'm just going to jump in here. And so in this folder, so it's a couple of levels deep. In this folder in here, what we need to do is basically remove the word deploy from all of these files. So the command for that is just ren.deploy. I'll put the comments or the text that I use for this into the description of the video. But what that will do is it will wipe the .deploy off of everything. And this basically now is a standalone Spry, you could call it a portable version. So you can now run this off of a USB stick. So that's step one, basically just getting a version of Spry that can be run without being installed. So that's now done. So what we need to do is fire up Inno setup. And let's just try and get it over onto the other screen here. All right. So with Inno setup, and then you want to go new, there'll be a wizard. And then what you're going to be doing in here is plugging in a few things. So Spry, now the version, so in this example, you can see the version on the folder structure. Look, in here, not super important. Okay, let's get past this. The reason, you just want to basically make sure that's named correctly for uninstalling purposes, and to be able to see the version that's installed when you go to uninstall from the apps and features section of Windows. The destination base folder, and this is up to you. We choose to install to the app data folder because it's permissionless. But if you're doing this, you can basically put this wherever you like. It's up to you. So if you just want to go into program files, it's fine by us. Then you can remove the ability to change where the file gets installed. I'm just going to say, just put it into a folder called Spry. Now I need to pick the executable. So the main executable in this example is in my silent folder. So let's just grab that one. It's this one here. And then I need to make sure that the other application files in here are included. So basically every other file in here needs to be included. And we also need to include the licensing folder. So it's in here somewhere. Unfortunately, they use this type of installer, which is a little bit painful, but silent Spry licenses. The other four things that are required in terms of the languages, it's unlikely that you're going to need those. Okay, so those have been added. And then the file association. So the file association is .spry. Creating a shortcut, once again, up to you. The rest of this stuff, up to you. We're looking for a silent install, so none of that really matters. Administrative install, this is probably going to be required because we're installing it for all users in this example, but if you want to install it somewhere where it's not going to have all users installed, you can do that here. Finally, languages, skip past this, skip past this, skip past this. None of this stuff is particularly important for what we're trying to do here. Then what we're going to end up with is a script. It's going to ask us, do we want to compile it? Yes. Do we want to save it? Yes. And then where do we want this file to actually end up? So what we're going to do is I'm going to go back into this silent. Where are we up here? We're just going to put the script in here. This is not super important either. But our script is now going to run. It takes a minute or so. And at the end, it's going to ask you where you want to put the resulting file. I'm just going to put it back in that silent Spry folder. And then I'll show you the final step, which is basically just to add a silent flag to the tail end of it all. So the downsides of this system, it's not going to automatically update. That may be intentional. It's also, in terms of, it's not supported by us, I suppose, technically. But it's just the regular Spry files deployed by you. So once this is done, you can also, for the most part, reuse these files. If you don't use if you don't use the version number in your folder structure, then you don't have to change this script when a new version comes out, unless you want to change the app version. So you can reuse the vast majority of this, but please note that we may have added DLLs, so the source files may have been added or removed from, so it's probably best to just recreate this each time that you need it. So that has now been done. So that will have created a file. Let's just bring that back up again. In the output folder. Come on, computer. There we go. All right. So we've got a setup here. So if you can, I think in the script somewhere you can change what that gets called. But I'm just going to call this Spry silent. Now it's almost done. The only difference here is in how you actually run it. So if I create a shortcut for this, which in Windows 10 is not as easy, properties. Nope. How is create shortcut in Windows 10? Windows 11, sorry. Create shortcut. There, okay. And then in here, what I do is I add the silent, try again, add the silent flag. And assuming I haven't made a mistake here, no, the setup was not silent. Let me just double check my instructions here. So let's just double check what we do here. Did I do a backslash like a dummy? Probably. It needs to be a forward slash. Yep. Forward slash. Okay. And run that. And it is now running with no other interaction. There is a verysilent, which will not even show any prompt. But that's basically it. That will now install Spry and set file associations to .spry files. Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have official support for this, and we won't be building it in at least anytime soon. But if you're looking to do your own, that's it. Nice and easy.